Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Comics Evolve, where we discuss all things around comics media culture with your hosts, Andy, Jarian, and Alex.
Welcome to Comics Evolve. Myself, Andy Stead.
And I'm Jarian Gibson.
And I'm Alex Stroud.
And the first thing to point out on video today is Alex's cool new t-shirt.
Oh, actually, this is an old t-shirt, if you can believe it. I've had this for a little while, but yeah, I don't know. I just was feeling it today, so when I got home, I threw this bad boy on. So
I like it. I like it. Quite, it's really in your face.
Yeah.
It also looks like it should glow in the dark.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's like one of those that it looks really good with like the black light stuff,
Yeah. Nice, very cool. How are you anyway? Apart from having a cool t-shirt
on? Busy Monday so far, but other than that, pretty good. Haven't really been reading anything. Haven't really bought anything recently, so nothing exciting to bring up, unfortunately. So.
Jarian, how are you?
Good. Other than the slight panic today about the the app we use changing domains and rebranding and that kind of stuff with no warning, I'm doing all right. Had a week in Chicago and 2 events, and now I'm back home, getting back into my daily routine, so I'm doing good now.
Nice. And if you hadn't mentioned anything, this was a seamless transition. The guys listening or watching wouldn't have had a clue. What have I been doing? I got some new Funkos, to be fair, from Paul's shop, and they're nothing super special or super rare, but I finally got a Wanda. I've been wanting a Wanda for ages, so I got the Wanda from WandaVision where she's sitting reading the book.
That looks like a different version though. That's not like the regular version, is it?
I think so. Yeah,
it looks like it's purplish, or it's
light,
maybe.
It's like black and white, like.
No, completely. She's not black and white. She's normal color. Maybe it's just what you can see on the screen. But yeah, she's a normal one. There was nothing special about her, but I've not got a Wanda, so I thought I'm going to get a Wanda. And I bought another Groot as well. I bought a fancy Groot. Can you see him in his fancy outfit?
It looks like a scroll.
Yeah, it does a little bit. Yeah, but he's got it's the one where he gets all the leaves on him, and he's sort of prancing around, and he's got like a dress on, like a princess in the little shorts. So I quite like that one. I thought that was quite funny. So I picked up those 2 guys last week while I was at Paul's shop. So but other than that, like you, Alex, I haven't really been reading a great deal. I bought Judgment Day the other day, because obviously that's one of the biggest new stories that's happened, but I haven't had a chance to read that yet. Continuing my Netflix, or can you call it the Netflix series now? I know it's not on Netflix, but that series, continuing that rewatch. Couple of episodes of Jessica Jones season 2 down. I'm not enjoying this second season as much as the first season, I must admit. It hasn't quite got the same feel to me, and it's almost like Jessica's so angry all the time.
It was only 2 seasons, right? Jessica Jones?
No, I think there's 3.
Okay. Yeah.
There is 3 seasons of that, but I'm watching it in chronological order, so I'm going. I don't know what's next, but it won't be season 3 of Jessica Jones. It'll be one of the other shows, but I'm still enjoying it. I just don't feel like it's got the same draw to it that the first season of Jessica Jones had for me.
I think it's because of the Purple Man too, because the Purple Man was such a strong villain that like they came out like just swinging with a home run with that villain, and then it was like I felt like it was that high standard for that show, after that. And I mean, I cannot think of his name off the top of my head, but he's a phenomenal actor, so he killed that role.
And I think the problem with this second season in regards to the villain is that from what I can see so far, there is no villain. Like it like her mum, and then the doctor, and then there's kind of no clear villain at this point, and I don't think that helps, because that doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't lead to a sort of an obvious story. You're kind of like, well, who is the bad person here, and who are we supposed to be cheering for? Because you kind of like do feel sorry for her mum for a little while, and then you kind of like. So it's not very clear. So maybe, like you say, the villain was so strong in that first season, and where there is no clear villain in the second season, it's hard to kind of find where you should sit. But looking forward to seeing another season or the second season of Luke Cage, because I never actually got round to watching that. So and I really enjoyed the first season of that. So but other than that, not a great deal of Marvel stuff. So we've got some news and rumors to catch up on. I know we've got a couple of weeks of stuff, haven't we, Jarian? Because we didn't really discuss it last week due to Guardians.
Yep.
So should we get cracking?
Yeah, and just the FYI, the Guardians should be live tomorrow review. I just last week was on the road and my hotel stream. We'll get that done tomorrow and published. But yeah, let's start off with Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus are all merging into one service by the end of 2023. No more streaming bundle. Bob Iger said during their earnings call, while we continue to offer Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus as standalone options, this is a logical progression of our direct-to-consumer offerings that will provide greater opportunities for advertisers while giving bundle subscribers access to more robust and streamlined content, resulting in greater audience engagement and ultimately leading to a more unified streaming experience. So, who's going to be the hoster of this, right? Disney has their own platform. Hulu has live TV streaming. ESPN Plus has live sports. So, is this going to be a new platform, or are they going to collapse into one? I could see if they're going to collapse into one, it would be Hulu, because Hulu has everything. You can even watch ESPN Plus inside of Hulu right now. So it would make sense to everything to collapse into Hulu and rebrand, like we saw with Disney or HBO Max and was it Discovery Plus? Discovery Plus, they call it the Max. So are they going to call this the Hulu or the Big D? I don't know, something.
Disney's Hulu or something like that,
But yeah, I don't know. So
I find it hard to believe that Disney would not have their name in it.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be really strange too for them to like shut down Disney Plus and go to Hulu and then change that name and make that, you know what I'm saying, like that the main platform too.
I don't think they would shut it down. I think they would just what Hulu is
like
today,
a branch.
like the front end of it, and you would still be able, but you would access Disney Plus through the Hulu, and they just rebrand Hulu and the Hulu app. Because like I said, Hulu already has the live TV. It's got where you can watch you can DVR on it, you can record stuff, you can add favorites. So Hulu is a pretty complete platform, and it's already got ESPN Plus in it. So
it'd be kind of like Disney adult almost, like the R-rated and like kind of stuff, and
like Andy has with Stars.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What you said there, Joe Jarian, the quote from Bob Iger, that was about as corporate as it could possibly get. He said everything without saying anything.
Yeah, it was rumored for a while that they were going to offload Hulu because they're the biggest investor in Hulu, and then I think Comcast is the other one. It's interesting because it seemed like for a while, because remember last year we had the whole talk about Disney Plus was going to have more adult content and all that stuff about a new streaming service. Well, maybe that was kind of the rumblings of it, and this is what's going to happen now. It'd be interesting to see though, how they roll this out, and are they going to buy Comcast out? Because there was rumors for a while they were going to sell off Hulu to buy something else. I think it was some rights back or something they were going to buy back, but that was a rumor going around.
I wonder if, like we heard the idea that Disney could license out some stuff. I wonder if like we could potentially just see like Disney take some of their stuff that's on Disney Plus and just put it on Hulu.
Yeah.
And just do the whole like double-edged sword thing. Like it's in either or kind of category.
Yeah, that could be too. So something to keep an eye on, but they're saying by the end of this year. So if they're going that fast and furious, either they've been working on this, behind the scenes,
definitely,
or it's just basically going to tie into Hulu, and Hulu's going to get rebranded. So
yeah, wow.
So Writers Guild of America, or WGA, has gone on strike. Wonder Man is impacted by the strike. So cameras have been rolling for a few months, but there is a picket line trying to get it shut down. So I don't know if it's actually shut down for that day, but the writing seems to be done unless they're still doing some corrections. So I wonder if it was just that day that Wonder Man got shut down. Now, the sad news, though, Blade, once again, delays. So I don't know how this is going to impact its release date or how it's going to impact anything with the project, but it was in pre-production. And right now it has been delayed indefinitely.
It's madness, isn't it, that we got a project like Wonder Man that's fairly fresh, a fresh idea, that's come to the fore. Blade's been touted for years and years, and they've finally got a date in, finally got an actor, finally got some bits going on behind the scenes, and it seems like it's just destined to fail, this one.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
it
hope it
feels like
doesn't.
it's cursed almost, like it stinks because it's like, they did have issues when they made the first Blade trilogy with Wesley Snipes, and it's not like an actor issue. It's just like, it seems like on this movie, they can't really get the whole project together. Like, they can't really put all the pieces together at once.
So, so right now, filming Agatha is filming in Atlanta. Daredevil Born Again is filming in New York, but it was also shut down. I think it was more just a protest there than actually shut down because Daredevil was pretty much far along into production. Captain America: New World Order is filming in Atlanta, and then Wonder Man in Los Angeles. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so correct me if I'm wrong. The writer strikes this time around, they're predominantly around, is it
AI?
the use of AI to write the script, or to write the scripts, and then writers to come in and polish said scripts once they've been written? That's what I got the gist of.
I mean, yeah, and if it could help streamline things, like I use some of the stuff like Chat GPT and some of the stuff in my daily stuff to kind of help, do some things, but if you don't, you still have to check and see what it's doing, right? If I say, go write me a story about Blade based on Marvel Comics' run, right? You still have to make sure the story is accurate. You still have to make sure that it's not just throwing stuff in there, because a lot of AI is learning stuff, right? It's taking data and input that comes into it, right? That's out there. So if someone's putting false information into it or putting bad data into it, crap in equals crap out in some cases. So, like for example, I'll do it for code stuff, for coding stuff, and so that stuff. But you have to actually know what it's doing. Like, I'm not going to blindly take code that I get from like Chat GPT, for example, and run that in someone's environment or in my lab unless I know exactly what it's doing. So you still have to check your homework.
So what about all the articles that we're seeing though about people complaining that like they're not being paid enough, and that's a big part of this as well, and stuff like that, like I feel like that's a very interesting side of this too. Like, I feel like it's maybe not just the AI that's kind of a big part of this.
Yeah, the AI negotiation was a big negotiating item, but I think pay was another one.
I think that the AI, I can understand where it would be useful for sort of logical and practical tasks. I think when it comes to emotional writing and writing of a story about people and about humans and about their reactions and their own emotional and mental and psychological challenges, I think that should be left down to a human to write that.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like with like Chat GPT, basically what it does is it just goes and finds information on the internet and collects that and makes something out of it. So like, I asked it to write me a story about the Flash, and it wrote me like the most bland story about the Flash, and it just talked about him running like the entire time for the most part. And it's because he's the Flash, he runs, that's what it focused on. So like, it wrote a story about him running, like 90% of all the dialogue was about that. And it was just like one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's not like great, but it'll like put something together.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even really like let it write me an email and not proofread it before I did that.
Exactly.
Like, so it's one of those things where I wouldn't let it write a script. I wouldn't let it write a 10-page paper, to be honest, without proofreading it,
I mean, I guess it could probably write you an email if you said, but then you might as well write yourself if it was just an informational email, like, let Jarian know that I'll be ready for the live next week at 9:30 p.m. GMT. If you get that.
I use it in my job, and I find that it has this problem where it wants to go into detail and like explain everything. So
you don't need to.
Yeah, and I'll be like, hey, just talk about this and do this. And it's like, hey, and then it goes into like an entire like paragraph summary about what that topic is. And I'm like, I don't need this. Make it shorter. And then I'm like, all right, just cut that first part out, like
you must just typed it myself.
Yeah, you want it to be very Drax-like with it, very literal with it, and very direct too as well. You can't just say like be like very ambiguous or with your stuff. You have to be very direct, very literal, and then you'll get good results out of it.
Okay, well, I mean, I think ultimately we're in support of the writers. You know, these are the guys that come up with it. They're so clever. I was talking to my family the other day about how we was watching Star Wars, and there was a little moment in Empire Strikes Back where they talk about Anakin and Darth Vader, and Anakin, you know, Darth Vader killing Anakin, etc., etc. And I said, like, it's amazing how writers of the sort of prequel trilogy, you know, took that sort of sentence, that little, you know, that scene there, and extrapolated that into almost a trilogy just out of those sort of few words. You know, it's incredible. Really clever guys and girls, and I hope that they get what they deserve.
So continue on the filming information. Filming next will be Deadpool 3 in the UK, so in Annie's backyard.
Hey.
And then Thunderbolts will be in Atlanta. And then again, on hold is Blade. But I do have some good news about Blade, though. So, well, not good news for the first one, but so reportedly Milan Ray was initially cast as Blade's daughter. They are now recasting the role off the current screenplay. So it looks like with the rewrite changes and everything with the new director and so forth, that they are recasting the role. But the good news is Mia Goth's Lilith will reportedly be the main villain. According to insider Daniel Rickman, my understanding is that Aaron Pierre is no longer part of the cast and his character was removed from the current script. Deloy Rindo is playing Deacon Frost.
Ooh.
Mia Goth is playing Lilith. Not sure which version of Lilith, or maybe a combo of the two. And that's interesting about Lindo because they thought that he was going to be playing was Jafari? Yes, basically Whistler from the comics. But now he's playing Deacon Frost is what's being reported.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then Lilith too will be interesting to see how they do that, because are they going to get Dracula? Is it going to start with her, or all that kind of stuff? So
I wonder whether they're... Sorry, Alex, go for it.
No, I was just gonna say, it seems like they're coming swinging out of the fences with Lilith if they're gonna like put her, in that. So yeah, I mean, they should totally build up to that, like make her like the mother of all monsters type of thing, like Werewolf by Night, Dracula, all that kind of stuff would be cool.
And this is kind of where I was going to go with my comment here. I wonder whether they're having trouble tying this all together in a way where it fits in with that stuff, and it fits in with the MCU, and it the sort of style that they're looking. I wonder whether they're just struggling fitting it in a way where it would fit,
But do you really need to fit that all in though? Because they already kind of you don't. They kind of already set the precedent with Werewolf by Night. You can have a whole separate MonsterVerse section of the MCU, and maybe have a crossover, right? Maybe we'll have them cross over, Midnight Suns type thing, and at some future point. But right now, you can keep that all in its little segment of the MCU and only cross over as needed.
You could, but are they?
Yeah.
And what would be really cool though is we saw the Darkhold and we saw that the Darkhold was destroyed. It'd be really interesting if they chose to just tie everything to the Darkhold and make it like one of those things where it's like, hey, when the Darkhold was destroyed, all this dark energy was released, and all this like dark magic created this, because it should be like one of the most powerful things on Earth in my mind. So, I think like you have like a comic connection there for the Darkhold to like werewolves. I think you have one like all the way back to vampires. Like, so, they could do a lot. They could even connect Lilith and kind of do that thing, like switch her out with like a Chthon kind of type thing if they really chose to. Maybe connect her to chaos magic,
Now, since Deloy Rindo is not playing Afari, Saul Williams has joined the cast as Jamal Afari. So we still are getting the role in the film, just that we thought Lindo was that role, and he's not. And Saul Williams has joined the cast to be that role. Now, I don't know if that changed with the rewrites and all the director changes, but we are getting some more concrete news. The only bad thing is that right now it's just delayed. So, Agatha, Patty Lupone got a warning from Marvel after revealing the plot details from Coven of Chaos. She says, I got in trouble. Marvel Security said, Patty, no more talking. They were nice about it because they saw how enthusiastic I am. Yep. Kevin Feige got the sniper out and said, hey, don't do that anymore.
Yeah, she's obviously new. She's new.
She's going to be in an interview and get blow darted,
Yeah. She's the new Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah. I don't think anybody can be Mark Ruffalo because he straight up streamed like the first 10 minutes of Ragnarok.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, like, that's just a whole nother level,
So Iron Man news. This came out this week. Clive Owen was Marvel Studios' top choice to play Iron Man, Tony Stark, but turned it down. He was not interested in playing the role. Kevin Feige has said in an interview, and it was not an easy task, but together with my team and our casting directors and our director Jon Favreau, we culled down our list, we pinpointed the right guy, and we extended an offer to our top choice, an actor who checked all those boxes and who were very confident would be a huge hit. And his name, of course, was Clive Owen. He passed. He was not interested. That is very interesting because the longest time the chatter has been was Tom Cruise, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's been the chatter. But Clive Owen would have made an interesting Tony Stark because I definitely think he could pull the Tony Stark side off of it. You know, this the way, you know, but I'm not, you know, I couldn't imagine anyone else but outside of RDJ playing that role still.
No, it'd be difficult, wouldn't it, to imagine somebody else doing it. He's very much sort of typecast as that character. But I love Clive Owen. I think he's brilliant. However, I don't know, has he got the sort of cheeky charisma that Tony Stark or certainly RDJ's Tony Stark had? I don't know. He's got the sort of seriousness. He's certainly got the acting chops. I think he's a superb actor. But I don't know if he's got that same.
I think he could pull it off. There's that movie he was in with Natalie Portman and Jude Law and Susan Sarandon. No, yeah, Susan Sarandon was in it, and so was was it Susan Sarandon? No, I'm sorry, it was I'm going blank on her name.
What the movie was?
They both ended up switching spouses for a while. He was married to the one lady. And then Jude Law was dating Natalie Portman's character, and they ended up switching spouses for a while. And I can't remember Julia Roberts. I'm sorry, I can't believe I couldn't remember her name. Julia Roberts is in that movie as well. And just some of the things, the way he was in that film, and some of the things he says and the way he acts, I could see him playing Tony Stark by the way he was in that film.
Duplicity.
Was that what it's called?
Duplicity, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. But yeah, I still can't imagine anyone with RDJ in the role, but it would have worked with Clive Owen.
I'd like to see him in the MCU.
Yeah. He'd be a good person. He could play
he could play multiple characters.
Yeah, he could play multiple characters, but he could also play Union Jack probably.
Oh, yeah. That'd be good. Yeah, he could do. He very much could do.
So yeah. Daredevil Born Again, Vincent D'Onofrio. I'm sorry, I keep butchering his last name. I'm sorry about that. He says about the show, I think it's definitely a new show. It's not the Netflix show. It's definitely a new show. I mean, all I can say is that Charlie Cox and I are not bored. We're having a great time. We have a great cast, and I think everybody else is having a great time too. I'm trying to skirt around specifics, but I can only say that it's a different show, and it feels like a different show. Now, there's been some set photos of showing young Soprano, or not young Soprano. He played young Soprano.
Young Kingpin.
Yeah, as young Kingpin, but as the actor played Tony Soprano. I'm going blank again. I'm sorry, it's Monday.
Yeah, go on, carry it.
Yeah. Anyway, his son played him in Young Saints in New York, the young Tony Soprano. That actor, and I'm sorry I'm going blank on the name. There's rumors that he might be a young Kingpin and not someone else in the series, but there's some set photos of him floating around.
That's interesting. Could he be his son, maybe?
Maybe. Or, I'm thinking more of flashbacks, maybe. Maybe we get some backstory on Kingpin in this.
Mm-hmm.
Because we never really got backstory on Kingpin, not in Netflix, not in the Daredevil movie. We never really got a backstory on film of him.
Mm-hmm.
So,
a lot of stuff about him, just not a backstory.
Yeah.
We got that little bit, didn't we, actually? Didn't we get the little bit in season 2? Was it in season 2 where they showed you his dad?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where he was like a politician or a wannabe politician. And...
He's like the mayor or something like that, yeah. And he killed his dad, didn't he? And his mum helped him sort of cover it up. But that's about as far as I think it goes, the backstory.
Didn't they recast Vanessa?
Yes, they did. There's a new Vanessa.
So I wonder, we did see in the Spider-Verse that Kingpin did have a child and Vanessa, right?
Yeah.
So, I wonder if that's kind of like a very similar situation where we're going to see maybe like Vanessa and a kid, maybe.
So in Devil's Reign, in the comic Devil's Reign, his son, he's actually taken over as the new Kingpin.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this story that we're going to see in Born Again, he's taking a lot of inspiration from Devil's Reign. James Gandolfini.
Yes, I'm about to say that, and his son is Michael Gandolfini. I'm so sorry, James Gandolfini, rest in peace. But yes, that was this Monday. I'm sorry. But yeah, so there you go with Daredevil. So I'm just gonna see if he's the son or if it's a flashback. But definitely interested in seeing how they actually do that whole 18 episode run as well.
It seems really long. Like,
Yeah.
not that I'm complaining. I'm not complaining at all because I love Daredevil. But you know,
Captain America: New World Order. It's rumored that it won't be called New World Order anymore. That they might change the name. It's still gonna be Captain America, but it might not be New World Order. And from what I gathered, it wasn't because of the film. It was because of just the name New World Order. I think was the reason for the change, for the reported change.
Do you think they got in trouble?
Yeah,
probably.
I wonder if like the WWE maybe or.
Oh, I was thinking just from the government. They might have
or the government,
trouble.
or someone else.
I mean, the New World Order. That was in. Well, they were ECW, I think, to start with, weren't they?
Yeah, ECW, then WWF. Yeah,
WWE. Yeah, but Kevin Nash and
Hulk Hogan, Razor Ramon. Yeah.
So, what do we think that the new title could be? I guess.
I don't know. Hulk, Warhol Hulk.
Wouldn't it be cool though? Because I mean, like in She-Hulk, they kind of just did the Intelligentsia thing and then threw it to the side. Wouldn't it be cool if this was Captain America Intelligentsia or something?
That could be.
That, you know, and it would be kind of. I mean, it would be kind of in that New World Order kind of theme too. You know, to fit right in.
Yeah.
So.
But you know, it'd be a cool name though, Captain America World Hulk, because this is basically a Hulk film. A lot of it, you know, the Gamma stuff, the leader, you know, the Serpent Society, and like I kept saying before, I hope the Serpent Society is created by some kind of gamma radiation, and his Samuel Stearns' experimentation with the Hulk's blood that we saw in the Incredible Hulk. So that'd be kind of cool if it was Captain America, that, you know, World Hulk, but they could also call it Serpent Society too as well. You know, go back to that tease by 5 before they changed it to was it Civil War or Winter Soldier?
It was Winter Soldier.
Oh, Winter Soldier. Okay. So yeah.
And you know what would be really cool is if they had the Hulk absorb like a bunch of energy and go like gamma energy and just go nuts at the end of that movie or something like that. And that sets up like into the World War Hulk stuff where it's like, you know, that movie ends where it's like, all right, we stopped this, but now we got a whole nother problem where we have to deal with that rampaging Hulk, you know, like how do we stop him now, you know?
I also see it interesting too to see how Scar fits in this also, because the Scar that we saw at the end of She-Hulk didn't look as formidable as he does in the comics.
That was I mean, there were certain things that weren't great about that series. I mean, I didn't mind it, but that was just awful.
Yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 news. Chris Pratt on his future with Marvel Studios after Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It would be strange to continue Peter's story without James. He's done such a masterful job in the first 3 films. We're really fond the voice. We really found the voice of Peter Quill together, and without him, obviously, I would never have this opportunity. He writes it, he directs it, he dreams up the music. It's his imagination on screen. So to continue to tell the story, it'll be really important to honor what he's done in the first 3 films and to honor what fans have grown to love about the character, and not simply do it because people might show up to pay you for it, you know? So that leads me to say are we at a spoiler warning yet? Or not?
2 days.
Okay, never mind. Whatever. Anyways, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to spoil anything today because we're still under spoiler warning.
Next week.
Yeah. But also, too, we definitely know that Zoe Saldana and Dave Bautista are not going to return at all. They are pretty much have said publicly already they are done with the roles.
It's interesting.
Yep. Let me check my notes here. Make sure I do. Okay. Fantastic Four news. There was a rumor that Denzel Washington turned down the offer to play Galactus in the reboot.
What?
Yeah, and he would have made a great voice of Galactus. Now, hopefully it would have been the voice in the big Galactus and not the Wizard of Oz type Galactus in a machine type thing.
Yeah.
I can just... I love Denzel. He's great. For a moment now, I just got his Training Day character's voice. in as Galactus.
Celestials ain't got crap on me.
That's brilliant. Yeah, Denzel.
Yeah.
What more can
Yeah.
you say?
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with that movie and how they bring Galactus in. Is he a rogue celestial? Is he something else? You know, they've already set the bar with Arisheim showing up, so they better not go below that.
Backwards. Yeah.
Well, and what's funny is Galactus doesn't have to say that much. So this is very much like the I Am Groot lines, where
Yep.
like it's like show up, say 5 things, and you're done for the day and
Yeah.
for the rest of the movie. You know,
Good
like
paycheck.
yeah, exactly.
I think
And it's all about the iconic voice. I think you know.
It is. We was talking on the group the other day, weren't we, about how to introduce Galactus into this, and we sort of thought, well, actually, it'd probably be better if it was kind of drip fed over the next sort of 1 or 2 or even 3 Fantastic Four movies, and then actually have Galactus as not an Avengers, but as a crossover
Yes.
villain. So you know, maybe there's a really slight hint of him in this first movie. Then in the second movie we get to see a bit, and then in the third movie he's in the back, you know, in the background actually pulling the strings, and then in a crossover event that's when he's the main villain.
So what if they did something like this and Galactus actually ends up being their ally in Secret Wars? Like he properly helps them destroy Battleworld or something like that. I don't know. That'd be interesting.
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because he'd be like, if they ever wanted to do that, they could make him like a leftover of the universe before the Infinity Stones, then, you know, before they came into existence. And then once the universe is reset again, then he's like another leftover of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he always survives. It'd be very cool.
Yeah. And kind of the enemy of my enemy is my friend type scenario.
Definitely. And, you know, another cool thing, too, is they could just have him come to Earth just to eat the planet because of the Celestial that's sticking out of it, you know?
I was going to say, do you reckon there'll be ties into the Eternals and the Celestials and Arishem and, you know, Tiamat and all of that kind of stuff with Galactus? It seems like that would make sense within this story at this point, doesn't it? And if you know what Galactus as an entity looks like, and you kind of think he does kind of, it could be like that, couldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
He could have some beef with him, couldn't he?
And I mean, like, his sole beef could be just like he just wants to remove all the other Celestials if he is a Celestial or something, just like how Ego wanted to take over the universe. It's just Galactus. And maybe he just sends his herald out just to go find planets that are about to, you know, basically have a Celestial pop out so he can try and eat them real quick.
Yep.
And his sole driving force could just be he's hungry, you know? And that's why he does it, is because maybe he just gets the most nourishment from those planets that are about to, you know, have a Celestial come out.
And that would make the most sense, too, because if you think about it, we have not heard anything about Tiamat other than She-Hulk in the newspaper, so...
Yeah.
Secret Invasion. So reportedly, well, first of all, it's 6 episodes, 6-hour-long episodes that give Samuel Jackson more space to explore his character. Their possible episode titles that I've seen out there is the first one is Master of Sabotage, or What You See Is Not Always What You Get, Self-Report Scheme, Reactor My Once, Lost in Storage, Vent Out Your Anger, Suss Out the Meek. So that's the reported episode titles.
Okay. Go for just go through them again.
Yeah. First one, episode 1, Mastery of Sabotage, or What You See Is Not Always What You Get. 2, Self-Report Scheme. 3, Reactor Me Once. 4, Lost in Storage. 5, Vent Out Your Anger. 6, Suss Out the Meek. It sounds like Lost in Storage could be, because that's number 4 episode. That could be like a pivotal episode to give them some kind of tool to help detect who scrolls are, maybe.
Four usually, episode 4 usually is quite a pivotal episode, isn't it?
And see, I feel like that first episode is actually going to have the Skrulls impersonating nations around the world, attacking each other to create conflict between nations, to cause an issue, to make people think that terrorism is happening between this nation and that nation, put nations at each other's throats. And then when everything goes to hell, basically, the Skrulls are going to pop up and be like, all right, now we're taking the reins. You know?
And episode 3, React to Me Once, sounds like they're going to explore their home base, which is reportedly Chernobyl, I think it was rumored to be, where they're hiding out. Episode 2, Self-Report Scheme, could be like, you know, them trying to find other scrolls or scrolls reporting back in now that, like Andy has said in the past, those deep cover scrolls, you may not know who they are anymore, kind of figure out they are scrolls, and they kind of got to report back into the one of the sides to go to the other, maybe? I don't know about that.
What if that like storage title is them looking for like a piece of tech to try and identify these scrolls?
Yep, that's what I was saying.
Oh yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So.
Like they've already had that tech, or it's some lost tech. Like maybe Fury with you know, what he was doing in the past with Carol, they had some kind of way to detect them. 'Cause remember, she talked about in Captain Marvel, scrolls can't remember the past type of stuff, and maybe there's some kind of detector based on that, or some way to read their memories, maybe.
What if
to
Super
detect them.
Scrolls could bypass that tech?
Yeah.
So like they couldn't be identified by that tech, and it was developed. So then eventually Super Scrolls are made to,
evolved past it. Yeah.
Yeah, to evade that kind of thing, detection, basically.
And then Vent Out Your Anger, episode 5, maybe sounds like some big event happens in the storyline where it just causes complete chaos and everyone's mad. And then episode 6, Suss Out the Meek, might be the, you know, the final clean out and ejection of any remaining scrolls, maybe.
I feel like that episode 5 is going to be the one where Fury like looks on the TV in one scene and sees that Skrulls have made him public enemy number 1.
Yeah.
And he's like enemy of the Skrulls and enemy of the humans, and he finds himself in that like weird little predicament, you know, where he's like, what do I do here? You know, I don't really, and that may be where he goes to what is it, England, and talks to I cannot remember
Olivia Colman.
Olivia Colman's character.
Yep.
Yeah.
I hope that at the end of this, it's not resolved.
Yeah.
I hope this is not resolved, this issue, and then it kind of does in a way carry over into the Marvels maybe, or into other things. It's
or even
Armor Wars.
Armor Wars. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's stuff out there now. You know, people have hands on stuff they shouldn't have, and Rhodey's gonna kind of clean things up. But which Rhodey is it? Is it is Rhodey a Skrull? You know, so. Yeah, I hope we find out one long mainstay character is a Skrull, and that no one saw it coming. Like someone we probably, you know, like Everett Ross, Rhodey, Maria Hill, you know, someone like that. So.
I think Martin Freeman could do the. You know, we was talking about the deep line Skrull that doesn't know they're a Skrull, and then they have this kind of internal battle. I think Martin Freeman could do a good job of presenting that.
Yep.
You know, that kind of. That internal analysis of who am I,
especially with building off his character Wakanda Forever, how the role he played there.
Yeah, I feel like Everett Ross could more or less because it would be so interesting if he was a Skrull, because then he would have just gone into Wakanda. Like when they came and they took him. So that means that now he has access to Wakanda. So that means that they've infiltrated Wakanda now too, which is like the place that like nobody else can really infiltrate unless
besides
like
Namor.
People... Yeah, well, like, yeah, other than Namor.
And you'll also know about the Talokan as well, won't he?
Yep.
Yeah. So like, I mean, like that's like a dangerous kind of thing where it's like, you know, you could potentially have somebody that is an enemy, and this goes right back to this entire show, which is you don't know if the person sitting next to you is an enemy or not, you know?
Yep.
So, well,
it's kind of interesting too, because that line in Civil War, once he has Daniel Brew's character, I'm going blank again today, man. Zemo, thank you. When he has Zemo in the cage, he goes, "Now you're all mine." You know, doing things Zap kind of thing. It's like he was kind of getting information type stuff too as well, and you know. So interesting his involvement over his arc in the MCU, if he ends up being a Skrull, because he's been everywhere pretty much. U.S. government, like you said, Wakanda. You know, he's had other people in there.
Mary DeVal.
Yeah, Mary DeVal. Oh,
you know, that was just like a weird kind of thing that they just threw in there.
Maybe Val knows that he's a Skrull.
That'd be interesting.
What if he's a Skrull and Val is the Queen Skrull, like Queen Vernecki or something like that? You know, that would be pretty interesting.
And speaking of Val, there's been some tease out there that she has more stuff in line in the MCU, not just Thunderbolts, that she has possibly a big role going forward. So that could make sense if that's her, or, you know, they could be set up to be the new Fury going forward too, as well.
And you know what's funny is with scrolls, you don't have to make like the scrolls like basically be defeated and go away. We could have something down the
Yeah.
line where like a
Yep.
faction of scrolls pop up again and cause like a massive issue. You could even like kind of change it up, maybe do like a Civil War II kind of story with something
Mhm.
like that, where like
Yeah.
the heroes don't know which ones are the heroes, and it's like them fighting themselves or something, you know?
I
Like
think that's where I was getting at. Where I hope this isn't resolved. I hope they're
Yeah.
still in the background, and yeah, we get more of this later on down the line. I think I do remember him saying that this story is going to be radically different from the comic story.
Yep.
Mhm.
Samuel Jackson also had some comments about this. He said on his future with Marvel Studios, I love playing him. I love the fact that they're opening him up to all these other possibilities in this whole life that he has. So hopefully I'm not done. And in this new phase of the MCU, I'll still be floating in and out of there somehow, some way.
Mhm.
He also addressed his new look in Secret Invasion. All those things that are part of Nick Fury's that's invulnerable. Here you have a guy who's showing his face, showing his age. It's an opportunity to humanize someone that everyone thinks is superhuman.
Yeah, I think that sort of older, he has aged. But then, having said that, in the Marvels trailer, he looks like he's de-aged.
Yeah.
But I hope somewhere down the line we just find out that he's just LMDs all over the place.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it would be really cool that like everywhere that he's been, there's just like one Fury. Maybe this is like the real Fury, and he's got LMDs everywhere. That'd be great.
You know, it's so funny though, because like I don't really care about Samuel L. Jackson's age or him being old as Nick Fury, because the thing about Nick Fury is Nick Fury is always like a step ahead of everybody.
Yep.
So like it doesn't really matter how old he is because he's kind of already ahead of you, you know?
Yeah.
So, like I honestly, he could be 90 years old and play a Nick Fury, and I think I'd be very happy with it, you know?
He still
He
looks
also-
great as well for like,
Yeah.
he's like 75.
How old was
or
he?
something.
Yeah,
He's
yeah, I would
75.
not have
I'm
guessed he was
I'm gonna find out
75.
exactly how old he is, but he is somewhere in that region.
Yeah.
While he's finding out, he does talk about his backstory as well, that they're going to talk about more of it. I had to figure out some stuff and work out some new things, which I've been trying to do for a while. It's great to have an opportunity to find out who he was and delve into how much of a toll his job actually takes in his personal life. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
He's 75 at the end of the year.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So,
And which is weird because he didn't really have any lines where he's really talked about his personal life. Like we know he kept Barton's like under the radar, but he does have that line in Captain America: The Winter Soldier where he like is trying to talk to Cap and Code, and he's like, "My wife kicked me out" or whatever. So it like makes me like wonder. I'm like, is he married? Does he have a family? Is he not married? Does he not have a family? You know, like. Is he like maybe he's just like completely ghost, like he doesn't exist anywhere, and you know, like
I think the most backstory we've gotten him in the MCU so far was in Captain Marvel when she was talking to him about if he's a Skrull or not and asking him questions type of thing.
mm-hmm,
I think that's the most kind of personal stuff we've gotten about him in the MCU so far.
mm-hmm.
Rhodey, so Don Cheadle on Rhodey's new role in the MCU. And this is dealing with Secret Invasion and then going forward. In this role, he finds himself not directly at odds, but somewhat on the other side of where Fury is. That's interesting. You talk about, not knowing who's on which side and, those fighting.
If he's not a Skrull, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
surprised, you know.
Yeah, he goes, this is a different kind of Rhodey, a political animal, and not, a guy who has a special suit. He's the president's right-hand man in this, so he's the guy that makes a lot of decisions, some good, some bad. So,
Do you reckon he's the Secretary of Defense or something like that?
Secretary of Defense, VP.
Yeah, I was gonna say
You know?
he's definitely gonna be like DOD or like a high up colonel or something like. Well, he's already a colonel, so
Yeah.
it'll be like a general or something.
He could,
like
he could be a
one day.
general. He could be like joint chief of staff. He could be someone right here in the military, or even higher, because colonel's still a high rank, but he could be someone even higher, be on some kind of board or some kind of those security things within the government.
So there's a storyline I want to say where Tony Stark becomes the head of the Department of Defense for the United States, and so they could very well just switch Tony Stark out and
Mhm.
put Rhodey in for that,
Yep.
you know,
That's a great point.
and have like him out there flying around in the War Machine armor and still doing that, and be a hands-on.
Last thing on this, Samuel Jackson reveals how the upcoming Disney Plus series will tie into the Marvels in Captain Marvel. The actor also confirmed as Nick Fury is in the film as we saw from the trailer. which will strengthen ties among the aforementioned projects. So basically, from Captain America, the Marvels, and Secret Invasion, it sounds like it's all going to be tying together, which makes sense because we got Skrulls introduced first in Captain Marvel. This series has to happen so that the Marvels can happen. All these things are connected in an interesting sort of way. So
yeah, nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this how this is connected, because it feels like it's moving these particular projects. Apart from the fact that they're talking about incursions being in the Marvels, they feel like they're away from the multiverse thing. Like New World Order feels like it's away from the multiverse thing. The Secret Invasion feels like it's away from the multiverse thing. And like I said, other than the sort of mention of incursions in the Marvels, that feels like it's away from the multiverse thing as well.
unless we get the King Scroll in this one. So
Yeah.
Loki season 2 reportedly will happen in October of this year.
Yep, makes sense.
Yep.
So just thinking, the Marvels is supposed to be
November.
released in November. So I wonder whether it's November the 5th.
Yeah, it's early November.
Let's have just a quick look. I did write it down somewhere. All right, maybe I didn't.
Have they said if Loki is supposed to maybe touch on anything, connect anything?
Marvels is November the 10th.
Okay, so
So I
if you
wonder whether they
start,
could get it out.
yeah, so if you start Loki the first week of October and it's 6 episodes again, you pretty much land right into the Marvels.
So Alex, what was your question there?
You know how Loki kind of just takes place outside of everything. I mean, the TVA is kind of like not really like in a timeline at a certain at this point that we know of. So I guess like my kind of point was, does it tie to anything? Do we know of anything that it's going to be connected to Loki potentially?
Maybe we'll see some ties to Quantumania. Maybe we'll find out some things about Quantumania in it. It does seem like they're trying to continue on the story of season 1 where he came back to the TVA. And they were basically in Kang's TVA now. Everything changed. We did see Victor Timely in the post-credit scene of that. So maybe we'll get some more on that. But yeah, interesting to see if we see any more Kang variants in that show, and if we get more context around Kang leading into the Kang dynasty.
I think it would be very interesting if, we see that statue that looks like Kang the Conqueror that we see in Quantumania. What if we just see, like, He Who Remains was in charge of the TVA, then, like, they change everything, then Kang the Conqueror is in charge, and then Quantumania is, like, the Council of Kangs dispersing him from the TVA, and, then, like, the Council's in charge of the TVA now, and that was, like, what the 3 figureheads represented was those 3, from the Council. So it's like almost like we almost get foreshadowing, but it's like a loop. It's like, eventually the Council will go back down to 1, and then eventually the Council will get in charge again, and just keep going kind of thing.
It reminds me of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Let's do the time warp again. MTV Awards, Elizabeth Olsen won Best Villain for Multiverse of Madness. So
that's cool.
Yep. Nice award there for the Scarlet Witch, because she was pretty big bad in that film. So good to see her win that for the best villain. Across the Spider-Verse, Jake Johnson, who plays Peter B. Parker, has said there's a Lego universe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yes. I those Lego movies are just hilarious. I absolutely love those Lego movies. Brilliant.
I love the Batman one.
But he's trying to throw his finger. First time.
Wonder Man. We have a synopsis finally. The series gives a superhero's perspective on the entertainment industry, centering on a Hollywood stuntman and actor trying to make it big in movies. So
okay, interesting.
Venom 3 news. Working title is Orwell, which could this be a hint to a story adaptation of the Lethal Protector series by Venom? There's also some chatter about Spider-Man, and basically in that story, Spider-Man comes to San. They meet in New York. Venom and Spider-Man decide to kind of like team up. Spider-Man goes to San Fran and he fights along Venom against other symbiotes. So that'll be interesting to see what this is and who's the villain of it. Because we got the Toxin tease at the end of Let There Be Carnage. But then we saw the casting we talked about earlier before, who that casting could be another Venom.
Shriek.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw Shriek in the other one too as well. But this other one, it wasn't Shrink. It was like Lady Venom. But the other alias for Lady Venom, I'm going blank again. But yeah, brings us to see, if we do get Spider-Man, if we do get Holland Spider-Man in this one, did they get any team ups? We did see the leftover symbiote in the universe. So, but we see what Spider-Man do they use though? Does that symbiote finding Holland pull him into the Venomverse, or is it another Spider-Man that shows up if Spider-Man's in this film?
I feel like it almost has to be like a Toby, or it can't even be a Toby. It almost has to be a Garfield. I feel like, because we had Tom Holland stay in that universe and Eddie Brock go to another universe at the end of No Way Home. So if they're just in the same universe, it's going to be like, okay, how does this make sense now? But
yeah, it'd be interesting to see if maybe not Holland, Garfield or Maguire's Parker went to the wrong universe on their way back, and they end up in Venom's universe. That'd be interesting. And I'd love to be Garfield. I think Garfield going back and forth with Hardy, I think that'd be kind of good.
Yeah, I did rewatch actually the first Garfield last night, actually, and it is very good actually. It is a good movie. It is a good movie. So yeah, I'd be up for seeing more of him.
He's my favorite Spider-Man, like Garfield.
Same.
And what's his name? Tobey Maguire. He's my favorite Peter Parker. So it's weird how that you do that, But,
it's a shame though. They started laying the foundation for Sinister Six in those two films, and they stopped. The only bad thing about that film was the mechanical rhino. I hated that one, but I love those two films as a story. I wish they could have continued, because from what it reportedly, his dad was not dead. And that Shailene Woodley was going to play Mary Jane. So
weren't they going to do some storyline for Garfield where his blood was the main thing that was connected to why he got so
yeah, because his dad basically said the way to do it was his blood. That was the key to unlocking, and that's why he got the powers.
That's why it didn't work for Harry Osborn when he tried to
Vision Quest, this one's kind of been under the radar, with some rumblings here and there. The official Writers Guild of America directory listed Paul Bettany's WandaVision spinoff Vision Quest with the 2024-2025 season release window on the dedicated pages for the show writers, including showrunner Jack Schaefer, who's the one that did WandaVision. The listing describes Vision Quest as a drama, the same category placed on WandaVision. So, Andy, we're almost done here on the home stretch.
That's right.
All right. I know it's getting late. James Gunn. So now we're done with Marvel news. Besides this last piece right here, James Gunn and what he'll miss most about his time at Marvel Studios. I'm gonna miss the characters. That's the saddest part for me. Is I really truly love these characters. I love all of them. I think there's certain ones that I have a special fondness for, especially Rocket. And yeah, the saddest part of all this, I'm going to see all these people again. They're all friends of mine, but I'm not going to see the characters. I'm not going to be writing the characters again, at least not in the near future. And so that's the real sadness, yeah. So, DC news time. Superman Legacy. It is not impacted by the WGA strike. His script for the reboot was finalized just before, or just days ahead of the strike. So the script is done. Gunn also confirmed someone from Guardians of the Galaxy 3 cast will be featured in the film.
Didn't he write it?
Yeah.
Gunn wrote it, didn't he? So, I don't know whether... It depends if he's in that guild, doesn't it? If he's not in that guild, then it wouldn't have affected him, would it, I suppose?
Yeah, so what he says, a Guardians 3 person will be in or it's basically confirmed that someone from the Guardians 3 cast will be in the film. It was reported that Palm Clementif, who plays Mantis, was working on a deal with DC, but the role is undisclosed. So could she be in Superman Legacy, maybe? I don't know who else would be in there right now. But Gunn also confirmed that Crypto the dog will also be in the film.
Interesting.
As far as casting goes, David Sweet Sweat, sorry, is the front runner for Clark Kent Kal-El / Superman, with two other unknown candidates in the mix. But the reports are that Nicholas Hoult, who also plays Beast in X-Men, Jacob Elordi, and Andrew Richardson are also in the mix as well for Superman.
I can see Nicholas Holt's got that Christopher Reeve look, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
That sort of bit nerdy type look to him.
Mm-hmm. I loved him in Mad Max, the latest Mad Max film. Yeah,
very good.
Yeah, I'm not really sure who I feel like would be a great casting for Superman, but the one thing I can say is, out of all the stuff at DC, James Gunn did do Brightburn, and the only thing he has to do is make a movie like that that's the exact opposite tone of that movie, and I think he'll do pretty well with that, so.
They've already had the perfect Superman cast, and he's on CW.
Tyler Hoechlin.
Yeah, Hoechlin, he's perfect in that role. That's why I watched that show. I'm not a big fan of CW shows, but he's one of the main reasons I watched that show.
Yeah,
I can't stand his kids.
I don't know why, but like I don't like him as like Superman, but I do like him as Superman. It's not like who I like picture, but there's just some like scenes in that show that they're just so good. Like that motel fight where Lois is like, oh no, like that won't help me, but he will, and she presses the button and he just blows through the wall like out of nowhere, like that's so just perfect Superman,
Or just the way he portrays Clark Kent as well. He plays like a great Clark Kent. How clumsy he can be, and the way he pulls it off, he's perfect.
Definitely.
So Lois Lane, there are some news on that one. Emma McKay, Rachel Brosnahan, Phoebe Dynevor, Samora Weaving are all in the running for Lois Lane.
Didn't I see somewhere about Rachel McAdams doing something over at DC as well?
I haven't. The only thing I've seen about her is that her talking about Marvel stuff. I haven't seen anything about DC on her, but I'll keep an eye out. Sources indicate that the antagonist role is labeled as Apex, and that Gunn has been seeing black actors for the part of Apex Luthor, and this is going to be Apex Luthor. So Apex Luthor is kind of that. He's that jacked up Luthor that has powers. If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, they could do it kind of a different few ways. They could even do like the Brainiac Luthor thing and make him like merge with Brainiac and give him that ability, if they wanted to.
Or Doomsday.
Yeah, which I mean, they didn't they do that with Batman versus Superman? Didn't Lex Luthor like do Doomsday and everything like that? So
he created him. Yeah.
So I mean, they could do that if they wanted to. But
looks like they're looking at black actors for that part. But remember I said earlier that about the Guardians cast. So this one has been reported here that Gunn has spoken to Bradley Cooper about the role of Lex Luthor, but Cooper is not interested in the role. So
it's not who I imagined for.
Yeah, I was going to say I wouldn't have imagined him taking on that role either. Really.
Yeah, I can't see it.
It's another weird thing too. I'm curious to see what the age will be for Lex Luthor and what the age will be for Superman. Like, like I feel like they need to be within like almost 10 years of each other or something, like if Superman's 15 years old, Lex shouldn't be any older than 25. Kind of like that Smallville kind of dynamic that they kind of did in that show.
Yeah, that was a good dynamic.
Yeah.
But speaking of Bradley Cooper, I could see him playing Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah.
I could see him taking on that role.
I'm curious. I'm so curious. Like, I love the lady that plays Lois Lane in Superman and Lois. Like, that lady nails that role. Like, Lois Lane is like a force of a personality to deal with, and that lady kills that role. And so they need somebody like that can be like a forceful personality.
A headstrong, presence on the screen type person. Yep. Jim Lee has been promoted to president, publisher, and chief creative officer of DC. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I like Jim Lee.
Sweet Tooth. We have some news. Showrunner Jim Mickle confirms season 3 is coming and coming soon. Also in a tweet, been sitting on this news for a long time. For those wondering why it took so long to make season 2, it's because we made 2 seasons back to back. Season 3 is coming.
Oh right, okay. So I was going to say I was literally just going to say that was quick after
Yep.
season 2, but now it makes sense if they've made season 3 as well.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool video with the main character, Sweet Tooth, doing the video talking about it.
Right.
So
Is
Okay.
RDJ still working on that project? Is he
I
still-
believe so. I believe he's still tied to the project.
Okay, cool.
Mortal Kombat. Carl Urban is in talks to play Johnny Cage, which I'm kind of hard seeing him in that role. You know, I guess he put some of the butcher attitude in it. You know, and
I think
I
it's
guess I
so
could see it.
I mean, it depends how they do the movie, but it's so tongue in cheek, that whole movie, isn't it? And that whole sort of scenario. It doesn't have to be, but it always has been, I think. And I think he could do it. Yeah, he could play
And
any role in that franchise. To be
Yeah,
totally honest.
true. And then it sounds like The Miz from the WWE has also been. I saw that today come across that he's talking about possibly being in the film as well. So, and I believe this is the continuation of the last film. I believed.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. I did watch it, but I wasn't really
Okay.
paying attention, if I'm honest.
Because they teased Johnny Cage in the end. It was either end or the end credits. They teased Johnny
I
Cage.
can't really remember. I can't really remember.
Beetlejuice news. Jenna Ortega will officially star in the movie as the daughter of Winona Ryder's Lydia Dietz. Michael Keaton's returning. Tim Burton's returning. Winona Ryder is returning. William Dafoe is joining the cast. So,
What a great cast.
yeah. And release date is going to be September 6th, 2024, 36 years after the original film.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Wow. It's I'm glad Tim Burton's returning, but he's a very niche kind of director, isn't he? You know, I wonder whether he'll appeal to modern audiences.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go and see it. I'll see it for certain because I enjoyed the first movie, but I wonder whether modern audiences will understand his little quirks, you know?
I don't think Beetlejuice 2 will be a billion-dollar movie by any
No.
stretch
Yeah.
of the imagination. You know, this isn't going to be like a billion-dollar movie, but I still think it'll be like popular. A lot of people are fans of that, you know. And what's crazy is it seems like Michael Keaton with Batman and Beetlejuice, it seems
On the
like
rise again.
he's just like taking a lot of these old roles that he played 30 years ago, and he's like, hey, let me play that role again. And they're like, sure thing, like, come on, like, you know.
You're Michael
But-
Keaton after all.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, so like, and honestly, like, I think he's 71 or something like that. I
Yeah,
mean,
sure,
he's getting up there, but like, man, like, good for him, you know.
Yeah.
So-
And honestly, if he wasn't going to be returning in the movie, I probably wouldn't be excited for it because
Yeah.
it's like you can't do it without him. And so I wonder how, like Andy was saying, how they're going to adapt it for modern times, but also capture the nostalgia of the first film for the older audience too that like watched the first film. So
A very I was going to say a very fine balance there. I think actually, if you look at something like Ghostbusters Afterlife, I think they managed
Yep.
to do that there.
yes, they did.
And I don't think they did that in the other one. The one that had Chris Hemsworth in it.
No, they didn't. That was other than I think one of them showed up. I think in the film. Other than that, I don't think.
Regardless of whether they were in it or not,
Yeah.
I have seen it, but it wasn't great. It was a bit cringy, actually, to be totally honest.
Because it was more like a reboot. It wasn't really a tied to any of the film. It was a reboot where this it looks like it's going to be a continuation of the story.
I mean, Jenna Ortega being in it should help it. You
Yeah.
know, she's got a huge following, hasn't she, with newer, younger viewers.
Well, and they cast her, and she played Wednesday, so I
Yeah,
think all
yeah,
those
there you go.
Wednesday fans are just going to come to Beetlejuice now because it's a typecast, you know.
And that's a project that was around probably 30 years ago as well. I don't know.
You know what would be-
Stanley.
It would be wild that if Jenna Ortega, since it's Winona Ryder's daughter, if the father is Beetlejuice, that would be wild. Because remember he tried to marry her in the film.
Yeah,
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, I wonder if there's been any rekindling there since between now and then. I don't know. Anyways, that's it for today. We are all caught up on the news. The episode for the review for Guardians will be out tomorrow. I have no clue what we're talking about next week. But you can find us the usual places. Remember, if you're on Twitter and you want to get in the chat, we don't see it, so make your way over to YouTube Twitch, Trovo, the Facebook page, or one of the Facebook groups. They're all Comics Evolved.
Awesome. Great episode, guys. See you next time.
Have a good one.
See you guys.